we are going to continue our chats about being multi-passionate because I have a few more things to say. I feel like that's a very multi-passionate thing to say. Like, I have so many things to say, but I do have so many things to say. I have a few more things to say about being multi-passionate, and you guys are loving these videos. So the next two videos, this one and the next one, are specifically going to talk about how to turn your multi-passionatism into money, into a career, into, insert whatever thing here. Now, before I get into that, I do not think we need to monetize all of our passions, like full stop. I do not think we need to monetize all of our passions. I think there are some passions that are totally fine being passions that are not monetized. But if you are someone who finds yourself constantly like, oh, well, if I do that, I could do this. And if I do that, I could do this. And I could do this for money. I could do that for money. This video is going to help you out. I mentioned this a little bit in the last video when I talked about the Kim Kardashian and like how we need to be like Kim Kardashian. We need to be a personal brand if we want to monetize like all of these different parts of our lives. But to button that up and to really like drive it home in this video, if you are multi-passionate and if you find yourself wanting to monetize all of those passions and you really want to bring all of those passions into one place, you need to be a personal brand and you need to be a content creator. There's a video that Peter McKinnon did months ago, probably maybe even a year ago, that was basically like photography can get you everything you want. And I would say yes, absolutely. But I would go a step further than that and say content creation can get you everything that you want. So it's really cool because we live in this world where, yes, if you niche down, you're probably going to grow faster, build authority faster, do all the things. So we talked about that in last video. Sometimes that's okay for multi-passionate people. Sometimes it's not, okay? So if it's not for you, understand that, yes, those things could grow you really fast, but also showcasing your multi-passionatism can also help you get in front of all of like your dream brands, your dream clients, your dream opportunities, etc. So I want to use an example from Sony Condo. So as you know, I went to Sony Condo in September and I actually have been a couple times. And this is basically a big brand trip for Sony. So I use all like Sony equipment when I'm filming my videos, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's like a big brand trip, okay? When you're there, there's a mix of people who are photographers, videographers, in the like professional realm, and then there's a solid mix of content creators. So there are travel bloggers, travel vloggers, whatever you want to call them, travel creators. There's people who, talk about food. There's people who talk about business. Like there's all of these different niches of creators at this Sony event because they use and have talked about Sony. So this opens up the door to where if you're a food person, if you're a food content creator, and that's the majority of your stuff, but you can talk about like how you film your videos or what you use to film them or tag people in your videos, you can also get in front of other brands. I have seen people in not travel related industries at all get like hotel partnerships and be able to go stay at hotels for free and even get brand deals with hotels. I personally, as someone who talks about creatorism, right, and business and things like that, have gotten reached out to by a ton of different brands and sponsors and things that really don't relate to what I'm talking about to talk about their thing. Now, normally I turn those down, but if I was talking about them and I could make it work, I probably wouldn't. And being into lots of things opens up the ability to create content about lots of things, which opens up the ability to have brands and people follow you for lots of things. So if I want to talk about like, oh, okay, I'm a sports mom, or I'm doing photography, or I'm teaching something like this, like I'm talking about being multi-passionate, or I want to show behind the scenes of living on a farm, like all of those things are very different things, but I can talk about all of them and could possibly get attention from each one of those things from people who want to pay me or people who want to watch what I'm doing. And the coolest part of all of this is that you can lean your content in whatever direction you want to lean it for the thing you're going after in the moment. So hey, I want to talk about cameras and gear, and I really want to do a lot of like reach out to brands in this arena. Awesome. I'll do some content about that for a while, and I'll make that happen. I want to reach out to like stationery companies to sponsor me. So maybe I want to do some content about that for a while. I want to get Apple to notice me. So maybe I'll talk about that for a while, right? So you can kind of shift your content to attract the things that you're wanting to attract and the people that you want to work with. I actually think in this instance, being multi-passionate is amazing. You are a creator and you can be a creator about whatever you want to be a creator about. So if today it's about your favorite matcha recipe and tomorrow it's about your favorite camera, and then somebody's asking you what microphones you're using, and then the next day you're showing your life in New York City, it's you, baby, and that's your content. And it opens up the doors to so much more. So I feel like I left it a little open-ended in last video where I talked about just like, be multi-passionate. It's okay, lean into it all. But since we're talking about actually creating a career and being a creator, I do want to tell you that I think that you should at least have content pillars and or buckets that you pull from on the regular, not necessarily just jump from thing to thing, because I think you won't make any decisions and you won't make any content that way. So what I mean by that is if you know you're passionate about painting, teaching, YouTube, cameras, being a mom, right? Then make those your content pillars and try and fit everything that you do into those content pillars. That way, when you're thinking about your content, you're thinking about the reels you want to create, the TikToks, the Instagram, the YouTube. I already said Instagram, reels, same thing. You're thinking about all these things you want to create. You can say, does it fit into one of these categories? Yes, let's go. And that way, it's not just like a whim of a thing. And if you do have a new passion that pops up or a new thing that you want to talk about, you can fit it into one of those things. So for instance, sports mom here, okay? And I actually just took a video of my son practicing basketball because he has these like workouts once a week, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Anyway, I just took a video on like my good big cameras, right? To have some cool footage and to put together a fun video for him. And I could totally, and probably will totally, post that video on my socials. But what I need to do is really structure that in a way where it makes sense with the rest of my content. I actually saw a really great example the other day. So if you're not following Chris Howe, how have you missed him? Papa Chow. Anyway, Chris is a photographer, videographer, YouTuber, that kind of thing. And I have followed him for years and I actually got to meet him at Sony Condo, so that was fun. But he just posted an ad the other day where it was for like some kind of intelligent thing in a computer that lets you search the web without being online. And instead of making it from his normal lens of video, photo, YouTube, he was in his van that he travels in and made it part of that. So like, oh, I like to travel and a lot of times I'm in remote areas and I don't have a lot of signal or Wi-Fi. So let me incorporate this brand into that, which was really cool. So basically the premise of this is that if you are multi-passionate, you need to be a creator. You need to build a personal brand and you need to talk about all of those things from the jump. Go ahead and create some content pillars, some buckets that you can pull from so that you're not just flying blind all the time. But then from those buckets, that's where you create your content. And that's how you make being multi-passionate into a creator thing. I think the best platform that shows this the best is TikTok. So when you go to TikTok, if you find someone, they could be talking about, bananas, and you find them and you love them and whatever, and then tomorrow they're talking about like whatever, okay? So I can think of like 15 different creators who when I found them for a specific thing, but then the rest of their content I stayed for because I really enjoyed them. Jen Hamilton is a great example. She is a fellow North Carolinian and she's a nurse, but she also tells crazy life stories. She talks about birth and all the things that go along with like babies because she's a labor and delivery nurse. She talks about politics, religion, like she is all over the place, but it's all makes sense because it's her. This is one of my favorite creators on TikTok as well, and she talks about everything too. She's talking about her husband loving Legos, showing Lego unboxing, the Murphy bed in their library, her therapy appointments, her Halloween costume, like all of these things because it's her, right? And I think TikTok creators and people who kind of got famous on TikTok got this right from the very beginning. And you're gonna see ebbs and flows. Like you're gonna see people come for one thing and then leave and then, like whatever. But for the most part, when you're putting out everything that makes you who you are, you're gonna attract the people who want to be there for you. And that's the real key in making this all work. So build the personal brand, create the content, whatever platform you want to create it on. Someone said the other day on one of my other multi-passionate videos that they were going to treat their content like a magazine, like they're the publisher, but there's all kinds of things underneath it. And that is a beautiful representation. I'll put her comment here so that you can see her. Beautiful representation of what this needs to look like. Like treat your content like you are the main reason. You are the reason it's there. Like you are the main reason. You are the reason it's there. But there's a lot of things underneath that, and that's okay. Now I have one more video I want to share with you about being multi-passionate and about the multi-passionate stuff that is going to come next. And in that one, we're going to talk about like actually monetizing your brand once you build it. So like you've built the creator brand, you're going to be a personal brand, you're going to be a creator, you're going to build this. How do we actually like charge money for things when it feels like everything is kind of all over the place? You're going to love it. Okay, bye y'all.